kind of revisit the zodiac signs. And since it's the start of Scorpio season, might as well start with the Scorpio. Hang on just a second, let me just press some buttons real quick. That way I can be able to see the chat and actually fling things in there. Hello, Kayla. Right on time as always. Okay, I'm gonna just get this up and scooch that like that. And get that out of the way. Bring that up. Okay. Well, it's technically it's still morning by me. So Scorpio. Well, a lot of people when they hear Scorpio, they usually get really freaked out. Because Scorpio is the second of the third water signs. It is the original sign that rules the 8th house. Scorpio can be either one of two. Overkill in positive or overkill in the other sense. But in all actuality, the core of it all is intensity. And also fixed water. So emotions become fixed. Now, when you think of fixed emotions, you can see it as either water that's fixed and stuck in a location where it's not being filtered out, or it's just becoming rancid and tarnishing in itself. And then there's the other kind, which is water that's frozen. Depending on how you want to go about it, either way, both of it's Scorpio. And within Scorpio, there's a total of about three constellations within it. There's Vishaka, which is also within Libra into Scorpio. And Vishaka is seen as a tree with two separate branches, so there's this split. Then there's Anuradha, which is about devotion, commitment, and pretty much being fixated onto something. And then there is Jyeshtha. Now, Jyeshtha is believed to be the polar opposite to Rohini, which is the moon's favorite part of the constellation of Taurus to be in. And Jyeshtha is usually where you see some of the darker parts of Scorpio. And actually, Jyeshtha is also where the concept of the dark goddess comes from. And that's also where Tantra and the such is from. Now, like I said, people usually can't handle Scorpio. But me personally, I love Scorpios, to be honest. It's just how you have to understand how they are. Hello, Jabril? Is that how you pronounce it? I hope I pronounced that right. If not, you can throw something at me. You can throw like a sponge or something blunt at me if I said it wrong. But Scorpio, have to say it. Okay, good. Scorpio is actually the sign that's the most committed and the most devoted and the most devoted to something. They commit and they devote the most intense. So if you're wanting to have someone or have a sign that's the most reliable and being able to stick with you thick and thin, that's Scorpio. But again, just like how that intensity, it can go from that benefit of like staying devoted and committed to the polar opposite. So you have someone who can be possessed obsessively. Up here's the Dark Enchantress. Moon is Scorpio and squaring Pluto. Well, and actually, speaking of that, I'm going to use that as an example. Because usually when people have Moon in Scorpio, usually seen as debilitated. But now if you have, say, if you have Moon and Black Moon Lilith together in Scorpio, that's actually a very potent combination to have, because you're taking the Moon, somebody's sense of emotional security and fullness and imagination and sense of being full, you're putting it with Black Moon Lilith, which protects the Moon, is actually giving that sense of protection with Moon. So somebody's sense of security is actually able to find comfort in the darker parts of life. So, like, say, if somebody is going through trauma, they're actually able to withstand it and not even flinch at it. And they're actually able to get over it much easier. The moon is Scorpio. In order for them to find that sense of security and that sense of like, okay, I'm full, I feel secure, I feel like I'm nurtured, and I feel like I have my needs met, there has to be this really, 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 really deep, intense feeling of like, okay, this person that, you know, is giving care to me. Now that's gonna be an interesting one when I get to that, Kayla. But for this person with a moon in Scorpio, they had to have somebody. Oh, that's quite the hot combination, Enchantress. That's quite the hot combination. Wow. I also have a Venus in Scorpio. Oh boy. but 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 with having that person with the moon in Scorpio, they need to have that feeling of security that's being brought on by like intense commitment and devotion. Meaning that in order for this person to feel secure, they need to have something being able to stick with them no matter what. Good, bad, dreadful, it doesn't matter. They need that sense of emotional security that's fixed. So if they have somebody who is always there, regardless about however intense their emotions get, if they have one person there anchoring them and still standing by them, even if they flipped out, if they have a emotional outburst, a very dark period, like if say they have a incident where they get psychosis and the other person is still with them, that's going to bring them a lot of trust and a feeling of, okay, this individual, even though they saw the darkest parts of my feelings and emotions and in my mind, they're still there. That brings a lot of security to them. And that does help quite a bit. But also, Scorpio is also a sign that also is about secrecy. So they find security in secrets that they hold on to. So if they do something that they kind of don't want other people to find out, keeping it to themselves, that does give them security, and it does make them feel like, okay, I know I made a big mistake, but I'm just going to keep it to myself and not tell anybody, which can only do so good for so long before it starts eating up and eating up and then eating up and then it comes out. So that's why, in order for somebody that has either a Scorpio moon or even with a Scorpio Venus, they need to have that other party that's close to them being able to be that anchor for them. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to get that sense of security and feeling full as easy as somebody else that has like a moon or have a moon in Pisces, which is more imaginative and less about being fixed. So then a moon in the first house with Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio. Well, Black Moon Lilith actually co-owns the sign of Scorpio, so she's already somewhat familiar with this. And then you're putting it in the first house where she gets directional strength, and then you have moon in there too. So somebody's emotions and also the moon also represents how somebody is, or somebody longs for, desires for, and also lusts for. So essentially you have somebody's being able to really captivate other people and being very alluring to other people in a way that's a little bit darker. So somebody can actually put on an appearance that's what's that called? What kind of goth is that? It's like the type of goth that's it's like a cutesy kind of a goth, if that makes sense. What kind of goth is that? I can't remember what it's called. It's like you look like a porcelain doll, kind of a thing. But it also depends on if the moon is waxing or waning. If the moon is waxing, meaning getting bigger, or is a full moon, then it's going to be more like that porcelain doll kind of a goth look. But if it's more of a waning moon or more of a darker moon, then it's probably going to be more along the lines of a traditional Victorian style goth, if that makes sense. But if it's a waxing moon, you're looking at somebody dressing up in a more of a cutesy gothic style that actually is able to pull and seduce people. Scorpio, Venus, and Mars in conjunction. Well, in naturality, Mars actually does rule the sign of Scorpio as a secondary sign. And Venus and Mars in Scorpio, well, I can say for one thing, I have Venus in Scorpio myself. And to be quite honest, it's a double-edged sword, like I said. At least for me, it can go one of two ways with me. It's either option one, get the heck away from me, or I'm going to stab you and I don't like you. Or the other way. Ooh, that one looks good. You cheat on me, I'm going to stab your throat in your sleep. Yeah, that intense. And that's just how it is. But again. Excuse me, I had a hiccup. But in all seriousness, no. With a Venus in Scorpio, though, you're actually getting a lover that actually understands that, you know, if we're going to be getting this romantically involved, you're going to have the same from you. And the worst thing you can do with a Venus in Scorpio, the absolute worst thing, the biggest no-no, is at the very beginning, you put out your full 100%, you keep it up, you keep it up, you keep it up, you keep it up, and then you just completely drop all your effort. And you just be like, meh, I'm going to take a step back and not put much effort in this. While the Venus and Scorpio person is still putting out their 100%, and they're going to catch on and be like, oh, what happened? You're not putting in effort anymore? Why is that? Oh, I thought we were going to give her 100% now. Now you're just all, I am putting in my effort. Well, you're not really doing much now, hon. Because, yeah. When Venus and Scorpio claim someone or is with someone, they can't help but either give their 100%. That's all they can do. They either give their 100% or, worst comes to worst, when somebody backstabs them, oh, whoops. A big whoops. That's a big whoops. And take me for example. That was a big whoops on his part. But with the Venus and Scorpio too, they also like to creatively, tongue twister. They like to express themselves in a creative way that actually involves some of the darker ways of expression. So like more darker arts, darker poetry, darker music, even darker forms of fashion. They even might like vampiric ways of expression. So they might like real vampiric types of art, not like Twilight. No. That one's more like oh god, how do you put this? To me, Twilight is kind of like the basic vampire depiction. Yeah. But if it's something like now, when I say romance, I'm meaning like medieval romance. Now, medieval romance is different from like the romance like cheesy woozy wooey. Medieval romance is actually your fantasy writing. So that kind of romance is what a Venus and Scorpio will be more drawn to. More along the magical, the occult, and the more that's the right word, fantasiful types of writing. Then, of course, they're going to be alright with the romantic and the lovey-dovey, cheesy-woozy, but that would be more like the Libra and the Taurus side. But if you're actually looking for stuff that's a little bit more of the kind, if you catch my drift, then yeah, that would be going towards the Scorpio side, because Scorpio does rule that action of sticking it. It's it very. And also Scorpio also rules the sign, is also the sign that has dominion over surgery and actually performing surgery and medical procedures that involves cutting. Yeah, I know, Lulu has been getting quite horrible. But then again, in the States too, the Postal Service has been all... where do we send this package again? It says on the box. Yeah. I think this country is getting a little bit more derpy by the year. So, see what else is there. Oh, and also, believe it or not, Scorpio a second time. So did you get 2 books? I don't know. I don't know why the first time didn't go. Okay, good. Now, oh, and also Scorpio, believe it or not, is also the sign that also rules assassinations. Yep. So usually when an assassination when an assassination happens, it might have something to do with something placed in Scorpio that has something to do with it, because Scorpio again is a sign of transformation. Well, usually assassinations to the other parts of the world and other people, they come out of left field just like. But then again, they do get sometimes premeditated. Actually, usually most of the times assassinations are premeditated, unless if somebody is really Hong Kong Fooey and not balls of fury. That makes no sense. Like they're pretty ballsy and they just say, go with it. Yep. Perfect. Explained it perfectly. Yep. And let's see. What else is there? Scorpio also rules the magical art of Tantra. Venus, well, in retrogradation, whenever you have a planet that's retrograde, it's a lot closer to the Earth. So its significance actually goes, like, really up. Like, the qualities of the planet, they tend to, like, really overdo themselves to the Earth. So their qualities tend to be a little bit more... they're more internalized with the person, so they feel those effects more intense. So for an example, I'll just put myself in this spot because why not? I have a Saturn retrograde, so Saturnian qualities pretty much just get overblown with me. So you can probably think that, so are you extra, like really extra self-controlled? You can see somebody being extra... a little bit more quieter, a little bit more, like, I don't want to say lethargic because I don't like standing still. Well, for me, I just keep it at the most simplistic level. Like, if it's Venus, then it's Venus. I don't like making it too complicated. I mean, I only make it fancy when I know how I'm making it fancy, if that makes sense. If I have no idea what I'm doing with a certain aspect of a planet, I'm like, I'm not going to go any further than that because I might sound like a dimwit and whatnot. Oh. A Jupiter... Here, let me scooch this out. Jupiter... Okay, Jupiter and... Well, hold on. Let me get this bloody thing out of the way so we can read it. Come on, dude. Jupiter and Jupiter, Scorpio retrograde in the 3rd house. So you're having Jupiter look at your 7th, your 9th, and then your 11th. So that means he's going to be looking at the sign of 8, Sagittarius. Then he's going to be looking at the sign of Pisces, Taurus, and then Cancer. Yeah, that was the style. Kayla. Well, having Jupiter in Scorpio, that kind of shows that the way that you guide others is in a way that's kind of a little bit darker. But since it's internalized more, that kind of shows that the way that you were taught were means that were a bit darker. So the way that like people were teaching you, they were teaching you in a certain way, but the way you caught it were ways that were more like you're learning, like say if you're learning arithmetic, and the way that they're actually teaching you it, it's just like everybody else. But the way you're taking it in and internalizing it, it's has a bit of a side that's more. It has a more of a darker side to it, and you probably best learned in a way that's either by your siblings or by acquaintances, friends, or even like aunts and uncles, or like second family. They probably taught you the most of the darker side of how life can be and the wisdom that comes from that. But they probably taught you in a way that you kind of rebelled against. Meaning that instead of like, for example, hiding assets from people and actually teaching people that, hey, well, in order for you to live in this life, you're going to have to either have people suffer, you're going to have to go through intense times of trouble, and you're going to have to teach people the harsh side of reality. That kind of teaching you probably rebelled against, and you probably challenged it quite a bit. But in terms of actually doing psychic stuff and actually being able to communicate with that, you might be able to say you could be in tune with it, but it mainly only comes out when you either interact with other people that are spiritual or even with your own mother. You might have this psychic connection with your mother, and because of that, whenever you connect to your mother, you actually start getting gains and you start gaining connections to other parts of like society or humanity. Like if you connect to your mother on a psychic level, you start realizing you're starting to interact with more people, or your wealth goes up, or you get a wish that you want actually granted. A minuscule wish, if that makes sense. And if you do any kind of psychic work towards your mother, when you do psychic connection towards your mother, you actually notice you might encounter a mother goddess figure, such as Hera, Lilith. Any kind of goddess figure that's a mother figure, you actually start seeing that you start encountering them more. Or you actually might encounter a figure that actually might become an ancestor in a past life. Actually, you'll start meeting that's from a different part of the world, or a different type of connection that's through like networking. You actually encounter a past life ancestor. I only use equal house. Like every house is 30 degrees long. Seventh, I don't read stelliums because to me, I read that and I think that's making it too complicated. I like to keep it simple. So essentially you have the Sun, Mercury, and Uranus in the 7th house. So if that's the case, then explain which planet has the lowest degree in Pisces. Which planet is the lowest degree? And also keep in mind, Jupiter does have rulership over the sign of Pisces, so the sign of Pisces is kind of protected with other people. So which planet is the lowest between the three? I'll just need to know that. But for the sign placements, it has to be equal house. Otherwise, I'm not reading it. No. And then who comes next after Uranus? Because depending on whose degree is the lowest, that kind of shows how I'm going to be able to interpret it. But yes, equal house. Every house is 30 degrees long. The reason why, because if you rated the Platypus style, you have this. You have a risk. If you have a house placement where it shows like the houses are like unevenly. Let me let my brain process that. Yeah, using equal houses, you actually have everything be perfectly balanced, because Platypus, you risk the chance of a planet being voided, meaning that a planet doesn't have a house. It has a sign, but it doesn't have a house to be in. So that planet's significance just gets thrown out the window. And I've actually seen that happen with one individual who was, how do I put this? He was a psychopath, and his sun was void, like completely void from the 12th house in the ascendant. Completely voided sun, and he did not like his life. He hated his life, and he did everything that he possibly could to make everybody else's life complete and utter in discord. Like, even though somebody might say like, "Oh, that's a bit dark. Somebody needs to demonetize this." Well, truth's truth. Deal with it. Hey, Adam. Essentially, this individual, what he was doing. Essentially, one night to get my attention, he decided, I think I'm going to start slashing myself just to get Brendan's attention because he's not giving me any attention. So he decided to just go into his room, grab a knife, and then just start cutting himself pretty bad. Well, hey, Adam, at least you thought about it, okay? At least you thought about it. I'd rather you think about it than not at all, okay? And wise man once said, "It's the thought that counts." Well, the only thing I'd say is your feelings, so I can't say anything about that. So, yay. It's actually 2 E's, not E-O-N. It's 2 E's. Then let's see. So, we will be after the end of all this. After all this thing about Scorpio. So then we have where to go. Where'd it go? There it goes. So Uranus is the lowest degree, then it goes Mercury, and then the Sun. Being aspected by Jupiter in the 7th. So first off, we'll put it this way. We'll start with the Sun. The Sun is pissed off because he's in the 7th house of other people, so he's kind of lost. Mercury is really pissed off because Mercury is in the 7th house and intelligence is coming from other people. And in Pisces, Mercury is like, how am I supposed to add up the spiritual stuff? I don't understand. I don't really get it. I'll try. And then there's Uranus, who is like the court jester, being all like, oh, come on, it's funny, and like just being whimsical and radical. But since he's retrograde, he's a bit more predictable, if that makes sense. So having Jupiter's 5th aspect hitting that, he's actually protecting that house. And he owns Pisces, so he's kind of protecting that house. So in other words, with other people and business partnerships and just connecting to other people, and also when you're looking in a mirror and how it reflects back to you, essentially, you like to interact mainly with people that are predictable and that, they might... You like people that are able to be open-minded about spirituality, but still be a bit predictable. But once you're able to get this sense of, like predictability and being able to have that communication with them, that brings you a sense of like, okay, I feel like I'm talking to somebody who's actually spiritually adept. And because of that, I feel like I can actually trust this person and I feel more fulfilled speaking to this person. Instead of being all, how, like, say, for example, if Uranus wasn't retrograde, you would have a very difficult time being able to interact with people because Uranus is like all over the place and unpredictable. But since Mercury is also the planet of siblings, can also show that your siblings may have some kind of influence over other people that you interact with a spiritual means. And also father figure could be somebody who likes to interact with other people while intoxicated. So that way just so that way you understand, I'm autistic. and I'm on the autistic spectrum, and usually when I close my eyes, it actually helps me think, just so that way you understand. Because if I try and do it with my eyes open, sometimes I can't do it. It helps me being able to think. So that way you understand. Okay, Uranus is not retrograde. I thought you said it was retrograde. Let me double check. Where is it? But it's okay. Of course, Maddie, you didn't know, so I can't be mad at you. So that way you understand. You didn't know, so I mean I can't throw spears at you. Okay, yeah, I think that's probably where I misunderstood it. The Sun, Mercury, and Uranus in Pisces retrograde. Okay, yeah, that right there was where I got confused. Uranus in Pisces retrograde. I thought that's what I thought that's what it was. Mercury's in Okay, Mercury in Pisces then. So actually, Mercury then becomes like if he's in Virgo. So essentially, when it comes to other, you actually are able to understand people, the way they communicate in spiritual, like when they communicate in ways that doesn't make sense. You actually are able to understand them much easier, and also when negotiating, you actually are able to take a situation with other people that you can't seem to figure out, or other people can't seem to figure out, and you actually are able to work out like a terms and conditions or like contract with them much easier. And from that, it actually makes you feel like you're actually contributing to something, because that's the Sun, that's fulfillment. And also siblings and other people could actually have also taught you how to actually go about this. But also you also have more deeper connections with figures that are either spiritually adept, beings of like another dimension, like for example, like a god, goddess, elemental, spirit, or the whatnot. And you tend to also encounter more individuals that are more focused on the wealth of philosophy and the higher forms of thinking. So you probably might encourage more people that actually push and say, donate more. Like you might have a pastor or a preacher that says, oh, donate more money because that's what God wants you to do. Something like that. More people being more like donate your assets and your sense of comfort. I have not really developed that skill that much, but I'm trying my best to work on it. But primarily, that's Scorpio, Jupiter retrograde at the 11th aspect, when you're actually able to, I think best way to put it is, when you're able to guide others in a nurturing way, but also in a way that also challenges them to question what they're being taught, you tend to get more avenues of wealth and desires being granted that way. And it's also suggested to also guide your network circle and also kind of be like a nurturing figure to them when you encounter them. That's the best way I can put it. Because in all actuality, Jupiter in the 3rd actually protects your, like if you get romantically involved in someone, it actually protects your marriage once you get one. Because Jupiter, whenever it looks at something, it protects it and it blesses it. If that makes sense. And also protects your 9th house of luck, dharma, higher intelligence, and also your hopes, wishes, and desires skip also that blessing of protection too. Because that's what Jupiter naturally does. But when it comes to the 3rd house, communications and the way that you, and your word choice and the way you communicate to others, it may have a bit of a, it's going to sound so weird, it might have a bit of a dark, rebellious guru kind of a vibe to it, if that makes sense. Like you might teach people in a way that might seem like, well, that was a little dark, but it makes sense, if that makes sense. No. And that means you would also be a Virgo ascendant, right, Maddie? If I'm taking a shot in the dark correctly, I think it is. I think you are a Virgo ascendant. Yeah, that would be Virgo. Yeah. So oh, that's actually, I like that combination. A Virgo Lugna with Moon and Lilith in there. Talk about having an appearance that's very innocent, but also having a little bit of a seduceful dark side to it. But one thing's for sure, don't make you mad. Because one of the most scariest things to encounter is a Virgo Lilith. Because the way that a Virgo Lilith gets vengeance is literally going at somebody and just like shredding them. It's like you're taking a tank full of piranhas, bloodthirsty piranhas, and you're throwing a twat head in there, and then he's just getting eaten alive. Yeah, that's pretty much a Black Moon Lilith in Virgo. They get vengeance by literally tearing somebody apart, like going at their most sensitive areas and just ripping them to shreds. Yeah, that intense. But especially if they swing at your appearance or your emotions, it gets it can get pretty bad. But I think I've gotten everything that I can think of off of Pluto, so I guess I'll just leave for open floor for card readings and whatnot now. So I guess I won't be pulling too much. Let's see. Fine, I'll go with a darker deck. Yes, I do, Enchantress. My absolute favorite nakshatra out of all of them. That's a tough one. Why did I say that? I had to choose one. My favorite has to be Sun, Mercury conjunct Pluto. Oh boy, that poor Sun is like, oh boy, I gotta deal with the two brats, Mercury and Pluto. Even Mercury's like, oh god, why do we have to have him here? My favorite nakshatra, I'm gonna have to go with well, at least on the Vedic side, my favorite one has to be Sulavan. Yeah, because at least with Virgo, it being the original sign is actually the pure woman. The virgin stays pure up until the point where it gets to like, you know what, I can't take this impurity anymore. And just rip it to shreds. And since Moon's also in there, that can also bestow a very youthful, alluring appearance. I have Moon in the Ascendant too, so. On top of with a drunk Saturn and a Black Moon Lilith. Just right behind Saturn, just all. Don't do anything bad to Moon now, Saturn, otherwise you're going to have your hip break. Anyway, it is now open floor for whatever you deem fit. Oh, Daneshta. Oh, Daneshta. Well, we'll see what comes out at him, but let's see, I'll be using the Goetia Tarot. But Denisha, oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Denisha, oh. Oh man. I love Denisha, honestly. While some people think, isn't Denisha the one that also has the animal of a female lion? Mm-hmm. When you have Venus in Denisha, let me tell you, and also my other, he has Denisha. Did I forget to mention you make a very great female lion? Don't rip my neck out, please. No, but in all seriousness, okay. Well, my significant other, he has Venus in Denisha. No, he has Venus in Indonesia. His Venus is in Indonesia in his marriage chart. So essentially, this is what he gets. He gets a spouse figure who doesn't take BS, doesn't settle with BS, and knows what's going on and is not stupid. And let's just say if shit hits the fan, a spouse figure comes in like a lion and just table flips. But at least on the good part though. But he's still failing to understand this one vital thing. Ganesha is also one of the Lakshmi nakshatras. In other words, when you have Venus in Ganesha, the spouse figure becomes the figure of wealth. So when marriage gets activated, spouse figure comes in and brings in the wealth. When you take care of the spouse, the wealth goes up. When you don't take care of the spouse, you abuse the spouse, neglect the spouse, mistreat the spouse, all that wealth, out the window. It's gone. It's true. I can guarantee and I can back this up. Every time when he does something nice and positive towards me, his wealth goes up. Between us, it just goes up. Every time he mistreats me, something tragic happens to him. Every time it happens, something bad happens. And I have told him over and over again, stop talking to me like this. You're going to wish you didn't do this. Whatever, just give me what I asked for, Brent. God, you always do this. And just say some other things that are like unnecessary. So then he does that, and then something tragic happens. And then he said, oh my God, this just happened. Oh God, I don't have anything and whatever. And I just tell him, like, I told you, I keep telling you, dude, you don't listen. And I don't do anything. I just tell him, like, the amount of time this happened, it's unreal. So, for accuracy and more, well, for tropical or sidereal is actually the one you want to look at for like your karmic pattern. And tropical is best to see for somebody's nature, if that makes sense. Because tropical was used to predict the weather and also to track animals' mating seasons, if you catch my drift. They're both accurate. It's just you gotta. It's like they're saying the same thing, just with a different way. Okay, so Adam. So what do we get for Katie? See. So Katie, what we got? So Adam, did you happen to say anything about Lilith? Well, there you go. There she is. I'm not even kidding. There's your wish. Wish granted. So, okay, so... Well, it looks like it does involve something like that, so... At the core of it all, it does involve that, so we'll go from there. Well, at the heart of it all, looks like it's going to be the what's in focus, so... Let's just do it this way. We'll put that at the heart, and then we'll just put 2 on each side, and then 1 at the top. Okay. So for your side, Adam, we have the par, and then we have for us, which is the Seven of Pentacles with the Page of Pentacles. We have two Multrigone placements, Venus in Libra and Mercury in Virgo. And also Mercury in Virgo is also his exaltation point. So essentially, Lilith would be most comfortable and the most confident and the most at home in Jeshta, Scorpio, because she does co-rule the sign of Scorpio. And Jeshta does actually involve Lilith, because Jeshta is also seen as where the dark goddess lies in. So there we go for that. So for Adam, though, on your side, there is this idea to actually kind of be like a alluring figure and trying to figure out a way to captivate, but also at the same time trying to be logical and come up with an action plan, because that's what it's planning. Jeshta's Sun, Mercury, and Pluto. And also, by the way, Mercury does rule Jeshta. Keep that in mind. So Mercury is in the nakshatra where he owns. So, believe it or not. So on your side, Adam, there is this desire to be like a merfolk, to kind of allure and captivate, but also, since Vipar is also really good at poisoning people and making them die of infected wounds, you do also have this desire that also to protect said connection, if it was to come about. So there's also this desire to also, once you obtain it, to also protect it in a way that can be a little bit darker, but hey, you do what you have to do to protect this desire that you have. And I mean, to be completely honest, since we're all ladies here, kind of, I'm guilty of it. I'm guilty of doing stuff that other people would think like, dang, kid, why are you doing that to that person? I mean, I get it that, you know, they try to go with your guy and all that, but did you really have to do that? Yep. Probably the worst, probably not really the worst, probably the best. But what I'm saying is essentially from what is on your side. This is you. That mouse was messing with me. On your side, you're having those thoughts, like to captivate in a way that's also strategic, but also to protect it. About this connection. Well, on Katie's side, though, because at the core of the reading, it is this. Alexa. Wait, Alexa, as in the Amazon Alexa? Like, wait a minute. So, now that makes me think. Alexa. That's like the very, is that the, let's see, Alexa. I think, I could be wrong. I could be wrong here. I think that's the very last bit of where, Vishaka is in Scorpio. Like the very last bit of Vishaka where it goes from Libra into Scorpio. But, I mean, if that's the case, well, it fits it perfectly, because Vishaka is essentially the tree with the separate branches going about. So you have Alexa going from one side to another. So you can have it be all like, sorry, I don't understand that. The government wants to kill all you people. No, I didn't understand your question. Could you please reiterate? You're gonna die, all you pesky humans. Sure, I'll rebuild your shopping list. What if something is out of stock? Fuck you, stupid humans. You're all gonna die. Yeah, that's Vishaka. 1 minute it goes one way, and then it goes another, then it goes another, then it goes another. It's all over the place. Yep. And it's intense. It's overkill. It's unstable because it's also ruled by Indra and Agni. Extremely explosive. Vishaka, Venus, and Mars. Well, the Vishaka Venus, that shows that your significant other is going to be like that. But also explosive. But also, yeah, well, the Mars side, they might be a little bit more of the, oh my lord, Lanta. Speaking of Moon and Scorpio. So, there's that one with... yeah, don't buy it. I never really... A Chitra Jupiter. Well, Chitra is the tiger. So the way that somebody teaches and connects to other people is the way that they teach is like slow and steady. Then they pounce on their teachings. Like for an example, think of it like, how do I put this? Think of like a really reserved teacher, reserved guy, just nice, calm and quiet, and he's about to like gank somebody who's like sitting and be like, you know, Jesus ain't gonna like it when you be doing that. Better quit it. Like that. Because Chitra is the tiger. Tiger stalks. And then pounces. But also, Chitra is also represented by a jewel, like jewelry. So essentially, this person can also be one that likes to gank people for their riches, if that makes sense. So the way that somebody teaches is with wealth in the way that they teach, and they're very negotiable when it comes to rares and stuff like that. At least that's the best thing that can come up at the top of my head. But as for the other part for Katie, well, we have Knight of Swords with the Four of Wands. We have Moon in Scorpio. Convenient. And Jupiter in Aries. A lot of Mars stuff going on in there. So, Knight of Swords with the Four of Wands. So there's the best thing that I get from that is that there is this sense of wanting to find stability by, lusting intensely with a lot of action. But in order for that to come about, there does have to be this sense of divine intelligence with a physical body and health and whatnot. So I would have to say yes, there is that desire, but there has to be this other way of higher intelligence with health and also taking initiative on it. So if there's no initiative being taken on towards her, it may not result in what you're seeking. But between the two of you, we get... I'm just going to nod for that one. I'm just going to nod my head yes for that one. Okay. Just one more. Could somebody be so kind to put the parental advisory mature content up on my screen, please? Because I bid you all, it's going to get nasty in here if you catch my drift. Let's see. Virgo rising with Moon and Lilith in the first. So, well, yes, and at least judging by this, well, with the mutual energy between, it's still present and strong. It's still there. So yes, it is. In the past, yes, and it still is, based on these three that I pulled. So I'm gonna take a moment so that way I can process that, because that one looks it's quite descriptive. A Virgo rising with Moon and Lilith in the first. So essentially, somebody's appearance is very That's the best way I can put it. Lilith with... No, not Lilith. Fine. You'd say it then. Ah, okay. You see that? You notice how in this card, how, you know, she's drowning him with a cup of water? Doesn't that look like kind of some dirty play? Doesn't that look a little dirty? Yeah. Oh, and the Nine of Cups with wish fulfillment. And then the Four of Pentacles. Showing that, she kind of wants to drown you in desire. And the way that the pooch is looking up that way, yeah, kind of wanting it and willing to roll over for it. And best part of all is that once you give it up, it's kind of gonna be stuck to you. So. Four of Wands, and then the Knight of Swords. A strong, swift desire to have something lustfully stable. Because the 4 is the stable number. And then the Wands is the element to stick it. Then the Two of Cups, well, do some play that might drown you. But hey, roll over for it. And trust me, you're never going to lose it. Oh, and just for giggles too. Don't be afraid to be like an animaniac too with it. Have a little fun with it. Make it known. No. That can't be said on camera, though. No. Well, if I couldn't get demonetized, I'd say it, but... Yes, Adam, you're correct. You are correct. I'm not gonna put that in the... I'm not gonna put that one in the chat because it's... But yes, you're correct. We're all ladies here, but... Okay, well, there we go. It just posted itself, but oh well. We're all ladies here. Actually, you know what? That should be like my house. I think, I think I should actually make like a... what's that called? On a... Streamlabs? I think that's what it is. Streamlabs or... What the fuck's it called? Streamlabs or... Prism. Like, we're all ladies here, so go ahead and speak on however the heck you want to speak. Just don't hit on me, because it's like not going to work. Hit on check, critical fail. No. But for the moon in the first house with Black Moon Lilith and Virgo in the first. So, essentially, well, what goes on in the mind with that, you have the, you feel the most full and secure when you're able to perfect yourself to the highest state. Meaning that when you're putting out your best and you're always trying so hard to empower yourself to the best point you can be. And you always have this thought of how can I make myself be the most perfect to myself? How can I enhance my ability to empower myself? There's a strong desire to feel full within the self, which is not a bad thing. It also makes you be really self-sufficient and self-reliant, meaning that if you have to rely on somebody else for something, it's not going to work. You're like, I need to rely about myself first, then everything else can come afterwards. As long as I'm good, then everything else, okay, maybe I can listen to it. Let me get the... Let me just make sure that one doesn't pop up. But yes, Adam. Oh, fine. Come on then. Yes, dear. You're good, hon. Trust me, you're good. Oh, that was mean. That was mean. Sheesh. Yeah, she did. She did. Oh, well. Like, you feel the most full when you're able to be self-sufficient, and when you're able to be self-sufficient, you feel the most empowered in that state of self-sufficiency. You don't like relying on other people, but the thing is, when somebody swings at your sense of stability and the way you express yourself and carry yourself, the minute that they start swinging at that, that's when the Black Moon Lilith comes out and then just completely shreds them. Because Moon is being protected by Black Moon Lilith. And whenever they come together, whenever Moon gets under attack, Lilith snaps in and just completely protects the Moon. So, like, say, for an example, if somebody starts swinging at the way that you, like the way you express yourself, and if it's actually something really deep to you, like if, say, like you're expressing like the way that you have spent a lot of time on something and you tried your best with something and you put your heart and soul into it, if somebody comes along and then starts degrading it, that triggers the Black Moon Lilith to come out and start stabbing someone. Or like if somebody like overkills and mocks the way you, like the way you think about something and the way you go from, or like the thought process you have, like saying, like if somebody was like, why the heck do you feel like that? You should not feel like that. That doesn't make any sense for you to feel like that. Oh, that'll turn on that Black Lilith and just oh, yeah, that'll turn that one on. If I get demonetized, young lady. Okay. Okay. Well, Adam. Sometimes, you know, if you have the part, maybe you should try sticking it first. You shouldn't have to rely on her to stick it. You have it, stick it. You. God. Oh. Yep, well. I'm sorry, but. Oh, boy. And now watch me get demonetized like that, but like, wow, that went against YouTube's guidelines. Well, I'm sorry, Lilith had to say what she had to say. If we have a problem, talk it up to her. She'll just be like, oh, it's okay. I know it was offensive, but I don't care. That's your problem, not mine. Let's see. How are Mars and Scorpio men? Well, the way they like to stick it, well, the one way with Mars and Scorpio, well, Mars naturally owns that sign, so essentially they can be very lost. Libra Venus, well, he likes to be romantic. Well, he does like that romantic side to it, but like the way that he likes a significant other that's very negotiable and very Venusian-like, but behind the bedroom, well, he likes to be a little bit more in the. I'm just gonna play this part because it makes perfect sense for it. Here, let me grab it. Wait a minute. Get this. Because, yeah, I don't want to. I'm just going to play one little audio clip, and guess what? It's not. It's not. It's not more than 10 seconds, so I cannot get demonetized. Guess what? That's what the thing says. You can't have anybody's audio in it. Well, screw you. It's only 10 minutes. No, not 10 minutes. 10 seconds long. Like a mutual aspect. If it's mutual aspect, then oh boy. That can be kind of questionable. Goodness. Thank God. Okay, so essentially, that guy with the Mars and Scorpio. Well, with with the Venus part, he likes it gentle in like the way the communications and like sweet cheesy stuff. But when it comes into the other, when it comes to behind closed doors, he's kind of like this.
Did I mention it's mating season?
That's the best way I can put it. I don't know Octile, so I got nothing there. But yeah, let's just say when that happens, it happens, and looks like somebody is overkilled the urge to stick it. That sounds so bad, but who cares? It's just human nature, I guess. Yeah, literally. I don't know if it's gonna pull it up though, but no, it's not gonna. This thing's gonna take forever to bring it up, but other than that, let's see what else is new, because I haven't been on lately because, life is just a big pile of F this BS. I do, well, actually, not do. I'm in the process of doing my next book, and it's actually going to be a self-help book. Yeah, I know, you're probably thinking like, a self-help book? You mean one of those books that, is supposed to be helpful and giving information and actually helping us, but it's complete and utter crap instead? Yeah, no. Not like one of those kind, like, what are those called? Like those people that do like the, not that I have anything against it, it's just that sometimes people blow it out of proportion, like with the law of attraction stuff, being like, no, just be overly positive and things will happen. Being overly positive can only work so long until you realize, me thinking that everything is Sunshine Bear and, the Care Bears, it's not working no more. It's not like that, no. And the concept works to an extent. Like saying that, like, this is what I want, so I'm going to be focusing on it. Okay. But what steps are you going to do to actually get it? Yeah. And the negative feelings, funny enough, that are attached with said desire, believe it or not, that's the Saturn side coming in being like, how does this make sense? How are you supposed to get this hot chick when, you just sit doing this? Don't make sense, idiot. What do men coworkers think about you? Well, I will take a look, but let me just collect my cards that decided to, go flying after, our favorite hipster came in and decided to be like a wrecking ball and knock him out of my hand. Okay. Alright. Got them all. Let's go with... Okay, we're gonna go with this one. Hopefully it wasn't problems that, you know, that they were getting out of line kind of problems. I hope not. Because if that's the case, they deserve to get fisted in the face. Okay, well, what did the masculine coworkers think about the Dark Enchantress? And by Dark Enchantress, we mean the Enchantress from, you know, Suicide Squad. Because that Enchantress is best Enchantress. I'm just saying. So we'll start with you first. Your current position, how you stand. I love this. The Five of Swords. But look at this depiction of the Five of Swords. You see a woman figure with all the swords. And, yeah. Two men walking away, like, ashamed and sad. Like, oh my god, we failed, man. What did we do wrong? Well, it was your fault, idiot. You came up with the idea. Stupid man thing. Yep, so essentially, the how you stand is that you're kind of like, well, whose fault was that being stupid? Wasn't mine. It was you two. So now you lose your pointy things. So, at least how you stand, you're in a state of like, I won, you two lost, so... Don't know what to tell you guys. Maybe next time you should use your head. Based on how you stand. Was there two of them involved? Or at least two of them that were like the big major influences with it? Because if so, I think this thing's probably hinting at two people that were part of the problem. Also clarifying you also have the Ace of Twigs. The Ace of Wands. If you notice with the Wands, there's a skull on the stick. So essentially, your current standing's like, I know exactly what's going on here, and you both are stupid. So run along, play nice, and go away. Otherwise, your head is going to be on this stick. So you most definitely know how to safeguard and protect yourself. And it's pretty evident that you're not going to put up with BS. None of it. None of them shenanigans. At all. Otherwise, you're going to stick their head on a spike. And just for giggles. If you notice at the bottom, there's a lot of skulls there. Possibly you might have a reputation to, you know, kind of, you know, make it known that don't mess with me. Don't mess with me. Otherwise, you're going to end up like the pile of, you know, dimwits that, you know, got backhanded down below. You'll be like them, but higher up being all, where everybody can see like, hey, everybody, look at this dimwit. Look what happened to him when he started saying BS. Yeah, now he's getting, you know, surprise poked in the back of the head. Well, let's see here then. Well, since they were gossiping, let's take a look to see what's going on in their being then. Twathead number 1. We'll pull 3. Number 1. We have 9 of Swords. Star. Oh, geez. Well, the first one's kind of a little bit conflicting. So we have one guy on one end thinking that, you know, there might be a possibility of having a reconnect and actually try and build something. But the issue is that he is quite aware that he did damage and that he's not looking at a good spot. Because this Nine of Swords actually shows the woman figure, even though looks like she's down and injured, she's actually ready to take a stab with the sword. And that same woman figure is also taking swings at him on the spiritual side. So he's quite aware that he made a big mistake. And he does want to actually make it right, but he's quite aware that he has a lot of things he has to fix in order before it could even be healed or mended. He has to make a lot of fixes and setting things correctly and actually putting forth the effort to amend the situation. Otherwise, it's not really going to do well for him. And even like if he has and he also might have another woman figure who's older than him, actually tearing him to shreds about it. While the other one, we have the Hermit. The Hermit, the World. Oh boy. I think this one's probably going to be the best one. So, the other one. We have the Hermit, the World, the Six of Pentacles. See how the Six of Pentacles is? Those are two men kissing her feet. So, the other one is like this. He has done some self-reflection and really reflected on his bad behavior to the extent that he kind of has understood the damage of his antics, and now he's ready to start something new and have something brand new come from his self-reflection of his stupidity. And what's going to begin is him actually putting forth the effort to actually show that he is sorry and willing to do anything to mend the situation. So you have one that is aware and wants to make it right, but he's not able to really communicate that properly. While the other one, let's just say he's willing to kiss your feet, metaphorically, to amend the situation. One wants to put in the effort, one is not so much. But there is this strong indication of them not mess with you. And I'm going to just throw out 3 advice cards just for show. First one, 10 of Cups. You're already emotionally fulfilled and you can care not at the idea of it. The Lovers. Oh boy. Yeah. 10 of Cups, the Lovers, for like your suggested courses of action. Wow. But when it comes to this, them, both of them, yeah, another one feeling sad, but the way that your suggested course of actions came out, both of them, these two, literally. Just, just for the instant replay. Because here's what we got. 2 of Pentacles, the Lovers, Ten of Cups. Let me translate this. So, Two of Pentacles. You happen to see that, she's taking a snake and she's sticking the snake's, backside into its mouth and making it choke on it. To best explain it, for them, both. Metaphorically, take their, man part, take it, make it, and shove it into their mouth. Meaning, no matter what they say, tell them to take their own BS and to stick it in their own mouth. Yeah, tell them to just stick it because it's not worth your time. Have them stick it and tell them to piss it. Then from there, you will actually be able to know fulfillment and being able to get a more deeper connection to the self with the Lovers on all aspects. The physical, the mental, and then the emotional. The three aspects, will be much better off. And then the dragon figure back there, it'll actually be a more stronger standing. So yes, don't buy in their BS. See, can differentiate between self-defense and taking blame at the same time. Now, when it comes to that, self-defense is, the thing is, I really kind of don't need to have the tarot for that one, because here's the thing. To best explain, Caleb, whenever you're not an aggressor, if you're not aggressively going at something at first, let's say for an example, if you're minding your own business, like here. Say you're reading a book, minding your own business, then some guy comes up to you and verbally starts saying stuff to you. He's the aggressor, you're not aggressive. You respond with saying that, excuse me, can you not talk to me like that? That was kind of rude. So please stop, dude. It's kind of pathetic. Go away. And then when he comes at you again, like if he starts getting towards your face, or you're still reading your book, now that's the second attempt as an aggressor. That point right there, you can do this. Hey, step back. You're out of line, dude. You come anywhere close to me again, you're going to wish you didn't. Piss it. Now. You're still self-defending yourself. But now this time, when you're doing this, you're not physically attacking him. You're calling it out, you're making it known, don't step any further. But just like the first time, you're telling him indirectly, no problem, stop your BS, go away. The second time, now you're pointing it and directing it right at him. This way is like a second warning shot. He comes at you again, you've already did your, no, I'm in trouble, stop, you're going to wish you didn't. But now once he takes that third step and gets closer again, you can go from this part now, telling him to go away, and you're directing it at him. You now can go right to the face. And you do not need to feel bad about that. Because the thing is that you warned. At first you're like warning him like, I don't want no trouble, hon. Stop acting like immature and go away. Leave me alone. I'm trying to read here. He gets too close. Getting too close to personal space. You better back up. You're going to wish you'd backed up and went away. Same with those, those grapes between your legs. You're going to wish they were, you're going to wish you were backed up, because if not, they're going to go. So back up. No? Okay. But in all seriousness, straight up. The minute that he gets close again, it's now a threat. As an example. Once you have made it known for the third time, or like essentially after you warned him 2 times, more than once, and it's the same thing over and over again, don't want trouble, twice, he doesn't listen, You can go right there and there, swing. You've warned him twice. He didn't listen. So now it's a chosen means to attack you. He's making the choice to ignore you and disrespect and violate you and not be considerate of you, that it's now perceived as a threat. So now you have to do what you have to do to neutralize the threat. You're not in any way liable to thinking that you need to take the blame for his stupidity. Because at the end of the day, who is the one to have the choice to decide, oh, somebody reading a book, I'm going to hissy fit at her? And who made the choice to actually do that? Well, the best way to look at it is like this. Whatever you're doing, regardless of what it is, like say if you're just minding your own business, are you doing anything that's provoking or essentially taunting somebody by just minding your own business, reading a book, or just doing your thing? That's not aggressive. That's not taunting somebody or seeking to cause harm to somebody else. Reading is not inviting a sense of aggression to anybody. Writing or even doing anything that doesn't involve harming somebody else, that's not aggressive. But now the minute that you're just still doing the same thing and somebody starting to take aggressive action towards you, you're not at fault. Because the thing is, who's the one hissy-fitting? Who's hissy-fitting at the person that's just engaging in their activity that they're just doing on their own? Who's the aggressor? It's not you. You're minding your own business, writing your book, or reading. The aggressor is the one that's hissy-fitting, saying, this person's reading. I don't like it when people read. I'm going to tell them to stop by acting like a twat. They're the aggressor. And if they get into a way where it's putting you in physical danger or threatening you, you better believe you have the right to be like, would you like your binky? Here. You don't care if it's an adult, a child, like another same-aged classmate, or anybody the same age as you. If anybody hissy fits at you, especially when it's something minuscule like just reading or any activity that you enjoy doing, somebody comes and hissy fits you about stuff that's unnecessary. In that situation, take your awareness, hold on to it, and think, how am I going to respond to this person hissy-fitting? Because, I mean, really at the end of the day, if there was a problem, wouldn't you be able to think that they would be able to say what's bothering them? And they're acting like a child? So, I'm going to choose to respond in a way that's like, really, dude? Why are you hissy-fitting? You're how old now? You're an adult? You're still hissy-fitting? I thought, I thought we all stopped hissy-fitting when we were, teenagers a little bit? Or, young adults? Guys, it looks like you're still stuck in the kindergartner stage. Let's stop doing that. If that makes sense. And I mean, if you get really defensive at someone, you do what you have to do to protect you. Because you come first. It doesn't matter who it is. If you had to protect yourself by any means necessary, you first. You come first, then everybody else comes next. Point blank. Because at the core of it all, without you, yes, you, parent, it doesn't matter. But also, if you react in a way that's aggressive, sometimes, though, if you react to a situation in a way that's aggressive, a good majority of the time, the person that's causing that to come out is that they know They have some knowledge and they have the awareness that acting in that way will cause that side to come out. Since they know that, they're going to try and pull it out. And when they pull it out of you, knowing that it's going to cause that, that's when you amp it up to really scare them to stop doing it. Because the thing is, like here, look at it this way. Say for an example, you're going to like a zoo, and then there's this kid that has a long stick, and he's poking a lion in the cage, and the parents telling him to stop, the zookeeper's telling him to stop, everybody's telling this kid to stop poking the lion, but he doesn't stop. So the lion gets sick of it. The lion gets a hold of the stick, yanks the stick, and the kid's still holding onto it, yanks the kid and pulls the kid into the exhibit. The kid gets eaten alive. And if that worked out, if that worked Enchantress, Kinkerdoodle. I would do that, but I had this in my head. So, when someone, if somebody is telling another to quit doing something, if they keep persisting it and they keep stabbing at it, they have to know that they're putting themselves in the situation with the kid poking the lion with a stick. And the thing is, at least for me, like the instance regarding bullying, if a bully is purposely poking at a child and intentionally bullying them, yeah, it's odd though, but still, those individuals, I'm just gonna be point blank, they kind of lack the intelligence to know that, okay, this bothers someone. Doing this bothers them. Why don't I try something else instead? So, and actually have them come towards you and say, so this was bothering you. Why does it bother you? And what can I do to best avoid it bothering you again? Or what can I do to avoid making that awareness that makes you feel agitated? What can I do to help avoid it? But then again, some people don't have the emotional intelligence to do that. At least for me, when somebody, like that bully thing that I was comparing it to, if somebody is being all, bullying a kid, and then the kid gets sick of it, and then the bully pushes the kid one more time, the kid turns and just knocks the bully in the face and knocks them out. I mean, to be kind of honest, I did work as an instructional aide at the school district in Needles. There was this one time a kid was being bullied, and that kid that was doing the bullying was told to stop. He never stopped. So then the kid that he was bullying knocked him one. The bully came to me, and I saw it happen. And then the bully said, "Oh, he hit me." And all I told him was what did we tell you? Stop doing it. You didn't listen. So there's your consequence. Now come with me. You're getting detention. But he hit me. I don't care. You're the one who was bullying him in the first place. So guess what? You're going to go into detention now. Sorry. You should have stopped bullying him. So now you get the double detention punishment. You get it doubled. Yeah, I wasn't nice. Because usually a lot of people, as an instructional aide, not really a teacher, but a teacher's aide. And even though also they didn't, also the other teachers didn't like how I handled it, but I told them look, the only way to help somebody's, an instructional aide, the adults that pretty much are out watching the kids. Yeah. They watch the kids play and they make sure that, they all play nice and all that. That was one of them. and I happen to watch the elementary and the middle school, and also not really the high school, but the middle school. Yeah, and middle school was the worst. Right now I'm a physical therapist assistant. That makes sense. But yeah, no, they didn't like how I handled it. But I told them, look, if you have a bully who is not going to stop, keep harassing another student. If the student gets tired of it and then they push back, who are you going to blame? The student who is being constantly harassed and then takes action to make it stop because we're not doing anything about it? Or are we going to blame the bully that's been told to stop and he doesn't stop and then he gets bopped in the face? Who are we going to hold accountable? Who is the aggressor? The bully. He's the one initiating it. He gets in trouble. And I refused to write up the other person. Yes, Dark Enchantress. I love it. Exactly. Because the aggressor has to be the one held accountable, not the victim. Blaming the victim makes it worse. Don't hold the victim accountable for the aggressor's stupidity. Because now it's showing that the aggressor, the one who is instigating it, can get away with anything. So then what's the good thing with the rule? And that does make sense, though. Though, my best suggestion, Caleb, is really to don't hold yourself back from saying what you need to say. Because at the end of the day, nobody has to like how you feel and what you know your facts are. It's still the same thing. Or you can even do the Lilithian approach, which is like you put on a fake persona. You put on a mask. You put on this mask to deceive. You give them what they want, but in reality, you're like, yeah, totally, I would do, I do like your way of thinking. I think I'm going to go with it. Nope. Just fake it. Sometimes, as much as you don't like doing it, you have to do what you have to do to get through it. But deep down within, you know how you feel and how you are. Essentially, when you go through the motions of it, you have to detach yourself from it and think nothing of it. Yeah. In that situation, you have to do what you have to do to survive. Even if you have to, because I've been in that situation too, even if you have to, like how they're pushing you one way, instead of like pushing back with it, let them have it. Like really go farther than they're expecting you to go. And actually make it appear that way. Because when you do that, that's when they're going to be like, whoa, wow, it's doing it on their own. That's when they're going to start retracting. If they're trying to push in a certain direction, let them have it. Because you understand that idea of like what I'm getting at, right? If somebody wants to have you go that way, instead of, letting them keep pushing you, let them have it. Meaning that they're pushing, by the time that you actually really jump and go towards it, they're going to land on their face, and they're not going to expect it. That's the point I'm getting at. It's all deception. Because deep down, you know what you're wanting to do and what you're trying to do. They don't. They can only see on the surface. That's as far as they can go. Because in all reality, everything has something good in it, and everything has something bad in it. The good thing is what you should not do. They're showing you what not to do. And the bad thing is that to show that the way that they're treating you, to not let anybody else treat you like this ever again. It is actually building a resistance to it. Yes, Kayla. But once you get out of it, once you get them off your back and you get far ahead that you're on your own, nothing is going to be ever so bittersweet to be going exactly how they want you to go all the way. And then as soon as you're on your own, fending for yourself, doing just fine, turn it on them. Just like, yeah, I'm going like that. Nope. Turns out it was all a lie, hon. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. It was all a lie. Go figure. Oops. So what did we learn, grown adults? Don't be pushy. Because she's still going to go about the way she wants to go. What time is it? Oh, 1:06. I am going to be signing off here because I have laundry to do. So I will be coming back on later. And I will have my Gems of the Goetia go up. And it's about Prince Cetri. And oh boy. If you guys knew who Prince Cetri was, oh, just wait until you see this. It's going to open a big, good can of worms. That's such a thing. But no, really, it's going to change the perspective on it. It should be out later tonight. Because I already have it pre-recorded. I just had to edit it. But yeah, it's going to be a good one. So, I'll see y'all later.